come out here. It will come out as a ban, at least, as Nova not wanting to let I Love Joseph get his hands on that one. There's still plenty of options available for Joseph, though, in terms of the heroes that are currently strong that also match up with his playstyle. I would really like to see them try and go for something like an alpha, though.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps as a last pick, if you're talking about C9, Nova can still pick it up. Delphi plays it extremely well, like you said. What I really want to see is the Vox come through here for C9. We know Old School plays it really well. It's one of the only picks that can play also into Black Feather very well right now in the update because of the Poison Shift, because of how well you're able to kite him away. And even if you go for a Breaking Point double monocle build, the damage is able to shred through his armor. So they go for it. It's a great pick. I think this plays into the strengths of C9 better than something like the Kestrel last game.
And it also allows them to save their last pick as a counter because, if they were planning on going for the Vox, you already know the Black Feather's there. You know that's most likely going to be your lane matchup. Oof. So you're not going to be picking a counter. But the Catherine Baptiste, this is Nova with Catherine Baptiste. That automatically kind of swings the needle a little bit in their favor because we know how accustomed to this composition this squad is.
Right. I mean, Baptiste, Catherine, Black Feather is the exact same composition we actually saw come out earlier from a European team. It was Mousesports, if I'm not mistaken, and they ended up winning with it. So this game we're going to see it again against the Cloud9 and against the Vox. Vox does a good job of kiting away, but he does have a low range on his basic attacks, so he has to get close to that composition to deal damage. And when you get close to Catherine, she's able to stun you. When you get close to Baptiste, he's able to put down his Ordain on you. So looking very good for Nova.
Another big thing is having the Merciless Pursuit and the Fearsome Shade and the Ordained. That's 3 ways that you can cancel Arden Gauntlets if you are quick enough with your reflexes and using those abilities. And if you can stop gauntlets from getting landed, that takes away a huge factor of why Arden is considered one of the strongest captains on this update. So it's another opportunity for them to just cancel out what Cloud9 are looking to do.
Absolutely. Now, we should talk about the fact that this Fortress has been picked up here, because this Vox Fortress composition is something we saw a lot towards the start of this season.
We saw a lot of on 2.8, like you said, Munchables, you're very right, in the earlier stages of the season. However, it played into the composition coming out from Nova, the Black Feather, the Baptiste, and Catherine. You usually want to engage with Vox Fortress. You want to pop your wolves and you want to run into your enemies and try to fight them. That doesn't work well against Catherine Baptiste just because of the Fearsome Shades working so well against that, pushing you away. The silence is also coming from Catherine, so I would give the draft advantage to Nova.
All right, we'll see what Cloud9 can do about that as we get on into this game. Hashtag Vainglory on Twitter. Let us know whether you think Cloud9 can come back in this series or if Nova have got this one under wraps. It's time to pass it back over to Jaws and the Source to get into game number 2 of this quarterfinal.
Thank you very much, guys, once again. Game 2 underway with Nova sitting at match point. Now, their comms extremely different this time, Source, but Fortress really stands out to me like they were talking to on the desk, because that cuts out a lot of the healing that's going to come out from this Black Feather and the Baptiste.
Yeah, this gives the side of Cloud9 a possible advantage to the earlier half of the game. The sooner they get that Attack of the Pack online, that initial first team fight with that ultimate, maybe that gives them enough of the advantage to over the Catherine Baptiste, that huge amount of crowd control and team fight capability, and they've already got Gabe Fizzle is deep in the enemy territory. He snuck into the back, threw down a scout trap, didn't go for a steal, and there's a little bit of a jungle fight.
There's a little bit of a fight, yeah. Truth is able to actually... Lone Delphi's going to steal away that camp, so Truth doesn't get the healing, so he has going to have to put the flask for the time being. Blood for Blood is going to get used on Lone Delphi. He's just going to get chased down now. It's awful, just slinging basic attacks at him. We'll find first blood.
All right, Cloud9 with first blood advantage. Old School. He's in trouble. He needs to get Fizzle.
Oh, Eco. Hello. He's moving forward. Truth going very low as well, though. He's going to have to back off while the Sharp has already used his flask, and that's 2 now on the board for C9.
Yeah, Cloud9 with 2 kills in the early advantage, similar to how the last game started out, but they had issues converting that towards the later portion of the game. Their mid game was okay, but it started to get more even. We'll see whether or not Cloud9 can turn that into a major advantage. And now I Love Joseph has gotten a bunch of time to get that early farm. He's been able to steal away a lot of the jungle camps of Nova. He should be 6 sooner, so maybe this sets Cloud9 up for the type of pace of game they want. They want to constantly be pressuring Nova. Anytime that the ultimate is up for I Love Joseph, he just wants to pop it and just put Nova on the defensive and chase them out. And they have all of the makings to make that happen.
But with that kill being on Old School as well, that's going to accelerate him even more, although he's taking a beating from Truth right now, but easily traded back. Eco comes in with the Merciless Pursuit, sent onto Gabe Vizzle, but Arden, as we all know, is fairly tanky in the early game and just takes 0 damage, it seems.
Yeah, and Old School is just left to be able to dish out massive damage. Truth and Eco are very, very low. Old School is at full health. I Love Joseph is now here, and they can start to put some pressure onto Lone Delphi. Maybe they finish off Eco.
Eco in a lot of trouble. Is going to have that flask ticking away, so he's going to be healthy for the time being, but he's going to have to back off here. So that does lead Cloud9 to at least get a little damage down onto this tier 1 turret. And for Joseph to explore some of Lone Delphi's jungle. In fact, Lone Delphi stepped a little bit too far forward as well. Trient's going to come through with the root, but doesn't quite land on any members of Cloud9, which is just a hindrance for Delphi as he does go down.
Yep, and Cloud9's composition just allows them to hunt the members of Nova if they cannot present a solid front. If they are not together, if there is not backup for Lone Delphi, he will get found. And Eco and Lone Delphi really need to be working as a pair to make that combo, you know, get as much value out of it as possible. Meanwhile, in the other half of the jungle, we have a little bit of a fight between Truth and Old School over this Trient.
But Eco's was getting a little love tap as well. Trient is going to go down. It's actually going to go to Truth as well. Old School is fairly low, and Nova, while Truth doesn't have that Rose offensive, but Lone Delphi's here with the Ordain. That's going to lock him in place. The Vanguard is going to keep him alive. He's going to be able to dash back. The Sonic Zoom was good, and here comes the Wolf. Vizzle chomping down on Truth, wants to find the kill, wants to sink his claws in. He's going to find Eco, and Old School is going to get his second one on the board. Now Lone Delphi is going to get chased down as well. There's nothing escaping an Arden and a hungry Wolf. Now that's going to be another kill for Cloud9, 5-0 to start off the game in only 4 minutes.
And Cloud9 are showing an unrelenting strategy and just a play style that they haven't seemed to be able to pull off lately. They've been running into a bunch of issues since Mobile Masters. They just haven't looked the same. And maybe this was the game that's going to let them get everything back. I thought last game, with how well Gabe Vizzle was playing, that they'd be able to do it, and they are going to find Truth again. Just more kills flowing to the side of Cloud9.
Oh my, is this 6 kills in 5 minutes? Yes, it is. Just under. Cloud9 already off to a flying start. Joseph with a couple, Old School with a couple, and Gabe Vizzle now with 2 apiece. Ordain will be here for Delphi, so he might want to have a little bit of a rough time with Joseph, as he is going to have to back off rather quickly. Fountain is available for Gabe Vizzle, mind you, so they would be safe in an extended fight. Now, Old School did push that wave, so even more CS loss now for Truth, who is already sitting at a deficit, now stretching to about 13.
Yeah, and Truth hasn't been in the lane for a few minutes now. He's been moving around the map trying to back up his team. This unrelenting jungle pressure coming in from I Love Joseph has kind of forced Truth to at least attempt to pick up the slack for his team, and that has set his gold advantage behind. So now with massive gold lead, at least at this stage of the game for Cloud9, 6 kills in their advantage. If they can get, you know, a really good team fight off of the attack of the pack, which is about to come through for I Love Joseph, they'll be able to take the turret and they can start really setting a lot of pressure onto Nova, who are able to retreat to their Crystal Sentry. They do have some space that I Love Joseph can't go into, but I Love Joseph doesn't really seem to care that there's any ability for the side of Nova to be able to retreat back to that Crystal Sentry, and now they're going to pressure the lane as well.
Yeah, the last bastion of hope is still there for them, but right now, like you mentioned, Joseph doesn't really care, shrugs it all off. He's going to be able to clear his jungle rather rapidly as well with that banner of command, and Cloud9 just now forcing Nova underneath this turret. Truth can't even step up, mind you, hasn't completed an item just yet, but is sitting on that level 6. That's going to be a big level spike for him. It's just whether or how he can even use it, because Gabe Vizzle, as soon as he puts that gauntlet down, it's going to be even harder for Truth to actually get any damage, or any meaningful damage even, onto Old School.
Yeah, and Joseph has gone with an interesting build. Though Delphi is looking towards his Shattered Glass. He's not there yet. He doesn't really have any kills. But Joseph has kind of picked up just raw stats, everything he thinks he's going to need for these team fights, and hasn't really finished any one item. Now, it's not that big a deal for him. He's so far ahead, just in terms of his personal gold as well as the rest of his team. So not really having that one completed item and getting that spike doesn't really matter to him, and it's kind of letting him just kind of run around and do a little bit of everything. He can farm fairly quickly, he can tank up in the team fights, he can dish out some damage, he feels comfortable diving. He's not really locking himself into one initial strategy, and Cloud9 are kind of running the table. Now, things have definitely slowed down. They haven't found another kill for a little while since Truth went down, and now they're looking to take the objective in the gold miner, but this could be a little dangerous if Truth can get in there and start dishing out some solid damage.
Yeah, the gold miner's about half HP right now. Remember, Old School has got his ultimate available. So is Gabe Vizzle. That's a big fear onto Gabe Vizzle, though, as that gauntlet did get laid down in place. Old School left completely alone, still trying to kite back. Ordain is going to land to Joseph, stop him from moving, but it doesn't matter because Delphi's going to go down first. Truth is going to be able to follow up with a kill, though. Old School is going to fall. They are just going to chase him for the time being. A massive blast drama did silence 2 members, and they're actually just going to back off, happy with the 1-for-1 trade for the moment.
Yeah, and despite that fight looking like it was going to start out in favor of Cloud9, they opened up with the gauntlet. Eco wasn't level 6 until a little bit of the way through that fight, and so out comes Blast Tremor that slows things down. Old School, he survived a very, very long time, but eventually Truth was able to slip past the defenses, dish out the damage, and this is, again, that kind of mid-game moment where Cloud9 don't really get the team fight that they were looking for. The advantage is much bigger in their favor than it was the last time around, but they weren't able to make anything happen. Now putting some pressure on the Truth, they don't find an initial fight.
Yeah, they're still fairly tanky, and that's something that Cloud9 have to keep in mind. Truth now, he's got the Sorrow Blade, he's got the Book of Eulogy, so his sustain isn't really there like it would be with a Serpent's Mask, but it's still going to be apparent, and he does get a little bit of shielding from his kit as well. And now, Cloud9 aren't gods. Gods do bleed. They're not like SK over in EU, where they are seemingly unstoppable. They lost to Tribe last week. Tribe are an extremely strong team, and now Nova have taken a game off them, but Cloud9 are one of these teams that, if they find an opening, they will punish you for it, and right now, that punishment is overextension. Eco's going to be right there, wait for it comes out, just finds the execute. Old School with now his 3rd kill on the board. Truth, however, is going to be able to respond to that with a turret.
Yeah, the Truth now needs to get out of here, and I don't think that's going to happen. There's too much damage. Oh, tries to get over the wall, doesn't manage to get away. So Cloud9, they manage to get the 2 kills. They lose the turret, but they'll take the gold miner in return and should be able to set up a siege. They do eventually need to start putting some more lane pressure into the game. They haven't been able to get the turret, so the map is still a little bit more closed off for them. And Truth, he's not really falling too far behind. Despite having died 3 times, he's starting to keep up in terms of items. He's close to his breaking point, another 400 gold off of that. Whereas Old School, with a slightly more efficient build, just in terms of how cost efficient, oh no, he has just picked up a little bit more damage. So Old School is a little bit more ahead than I thought he was.
Yeah, well, yeah, 4-1, you'd hope he's a little bit more ahead if he isn't spending his goal right now, but he's sitting at 2 items, and important Poison Shiv as well was finished first with that Sorrow Blade to ramp up that damage, but there are still power spikes on the side of Nova right now. There's a Shatterglass online for Lone Delphi, as well as Truth picking up that Sorrow Blade, and a little bit extra in that Cold Steel also. Now, what is their plan now, Source? What do they really want to do? Because Gabe Vizzle is going to have that Echo online very, very soon, and that double gauntlet is going to start to become a real possibility. And Old School is not going to need defensive items. He's going to be more than safe in these fights with those 2 massive rings of protection for it.
Land Blast Tremor first, and hope Truth carries you. It gets very difficult for Truth to maneuver. Yes, he can Rose offensive around, and that will get him through 1 gauntlet, but having to deal with 2 really cuts down his ability to chase onto Old School. He can't follow up on any of the initial damage that'll come out of Lone Delphi. It's also a little difficult for them to kind of set up an initial poke. Yes, you can get a lot of poke out of a Batiste, but it isn't that good just because if you're starting to set up the poke, I Love Joseph is usually going to be able to set up enough of a dive, and then you're kind of all grouped up and inside the gauntlet. Great additional damage from Old School onto Truth, and it just gets difficult. Cloud9 want to take a decisive fight. Nova want a fight to go long so that they can let Truth kind of move around the field and build up the breaking point, and he's not getting a lot of time to do that. He is so low.
Yeah, he's actually just going to have to back off. He's about 600 HP right now, and with Cloud9 and the poke coming out from Old School, it's pretty hard for them to defend this turret. In fact, they are going to try and attack it, but Lone Delphi, Eco, they do have spells available to them. They've got the Fearsome Shade, they've got the Blast Tremor to disengage if they really need to. But right now, it's all about Old School being protected by Joseph and Gabe Vizzle. You can see the items that Joseph's got. He's got the Aftershock for the initial bit of burst damage, but then he's got an Atlas Pauldron as well in order to keep Truth at a wayside.
It's also hard for the side of Nova to say, let's focus Old School, take that Mortal Wound away, let Truth sustain. Because you also have to be worried about I Love Joseph. The double Mortal Wound coming up from Cloud9 makes the sustained fight that Truth is looking for a bit, much more of a 50-50 than you would normally expect out of a Black Feather, Batiste, and Catherine. Like, it's just, you would think they'd like that kind of long and drawn-out team fight, but it's a little bit more dangerous from them. And Cloud9, with prime positioning, are able to start to put some pressure on them.
They're going to go straight in. Gabe Vizzle has got the gauntlet. Well, he did use it a second ago. I believe it actually got interrupted. Fearsome Shade battles through 3 people. Old School still on the back line. They're trying to kill Truth for the time being. Joseph manages to sink his teeth in and finds 1 kill. Finds the next as well. Eco, wrong place, wrong time, buddy. It seems that he's just going to get run and gunned down now as well. A triple for the Wolf. Joseph comes up big, 6-0. Well, yet again, that's going to be a gold miner for Cloud9 as they find the ace.
Yeah, and the double Mortal Wound really cut through Truth's ability to sustain. It looked like Old School was going to go down, but he managed to juke up away from the team, just away from the momentum of where the team fight was going. Got healed up by the rest of the Fountain, and now Cloud9, they're really starting to solidify this lead. I'm still a little bit worried for them in terms of just how much Nova has been able to come back within these games, but they've set themselves up. They've finally taken that turret. They've opened up the map a little bit more, and their gold lead is pretty significant.
You saw the replay. It was just so easy for Old School to just stand there and just do free damage to Delphi and free damage to Eco as well. Truth was too busy getting deleted in the front line. It only took a couple of basic attacks to send him under half HP, and like you mentioned, and rightfully so, the Mortal Wound absolutely destroyed him in these fights. There's no wonder he's not going towards Serpent's Mask, because you don't want reduced healing. You'd rather go for more bang for your buck in something like the Breaking Point. They've lost 2 turrets now, 1 turret, sorry. And with that gold miner, that does eke again the Cloud9's gold advantage. It's 31,000 to 24,000 right now. That's a 7,000 gold lead with infusions now coming online and a 3rd damage item for Old School. You gotta wonder to yourselves, Nova's composition, when does it truly come online? Because Eco, he hasn't even got something like an Echo yet, which he actually needs, which we see most Catherine's build 2nd item nowadays is actually forced to go the Atlas Pauldrons in this case.
Yeah, I mean, Eco's been able to get on top of Old School to some degree. He's been able to... The team fights have been very consolidated. It's been just kind of this ball of 6 players moving in one direction or another. And he'll get value off the Atlas Pauldron, but without the Echo, he's gonna start to fall to the fact that Gabe Vizzle is setting up the double gauntlet, and now pressure onto Truth. He snuck into the back to try and take down a turret, and he's going to pay for it.
Well, 2nd time's a charm. Does use that Rose of Ensign to get a little bit of distance, but you're right, he's going to pay for his Old School. He's going to use those boots, dash towards him. Truth is going to fall yet again. That's going to go to the hands of Old School. Overextension and maybe a little bit of desperation play coming through for the side of Nova. There's still a game up, mind you, so there is still all to play for. If Cloud9 take this one, you've got game 3 to think about.
Yeah, and it starts to get harder and harder for Nova to find significant team fights. Truth, his build, he doesn't really have a good place he can go with it. Yes, he could, in theory, go into the Serpent's Mask, and the sustain is there. But if he could get just more damage and be able to cut through the defense of Cloud9, maybe with a Bone Saw, maybe he makes something happen. He has now picked up an infusion for some initial damage. The Fearsome Shade is sent through, and now Eco's going in looking for the steal. It's not going to be there, and he may not pay for that with his life.
Yeah, Gauntlet is going to separate him and Truth. He does manage to get out of there with the Rose Offensive. Double Gauntlet was used from Gabe Vizzle. Double Rose Offensive to get over the wall. Truth does manage to escape for the time being, but it does leave lone Delphi in a bit of an awkward spot as he just runs through his own jungle. He's going to pop the boots, but with that Kraken now marching down the lane, it's just up to Cloud9. Do they commit resources to him? Yep, to delay him. That's exactly what they're doing. And now that Kraken just does its thing and just cracks the base.
Yeah, and I think Old School may even help with the chase. He just went back, picked up an infusion. They're just going to let Gabe Vizzle keep Lone Delphi busy, because that's also a lot of their setup. Cloud9, they can poke, they can let the Kraken do the work. They can even probably win this 2v2 if played it properly. That's a stun onto Old School.
Yeah, he's going extremely low. Ultimate's going to have to dash away. There's still a lot of damage on Truth. Didn't respect it all too much with Joseph not putting up his fair share. Lone Delphi does use that fearsome shade to try and find Joseph. Doesn't quite get in the end. He's just going to be able to take down Truth there in a 1-for-1 exchange. And now it's only Lone Delphi with the damage. Can't quite find anything. Throwing out those bad mojos, but the Wolf is just chasing him down. Joseph's going extremely low. This is going to be a tight one. He's still kiting back, but not quite enough. Gabe Vizzle now isn't going to be able to sustain against Lone Delphi, who has the natural healing in his kit. They still have to buy time with that Kraken though, and that's exactly what they did. It cracks one turret and almost is going to crack the second one. In fact, I believe it is.
So Cloud9 get a little overzealous, get punished for it a bit, but he still saw how much of a struggle it was for the side of Nova to win that once Truth was down. Now Truth managed to bring down Old School very quickly, put a lot of pressure onto him. He's now itemized into his own Atlas Pauldron, so he's going for the defense, is going for the sustained fight, isn't specking into any more damage. He's sitting on that Book of Eulogies. Maybe he picks himself up a Poison Chip, tries to get some value out of that, cut out some of the healing that is coming through for Old School. It cuts down the Fountain a little bit from Gabe Vizzle, but you know, it's been a rough time for Truth to really itemize to get value out of this game. Eco still does not have the Echo, so there is no double blast tremor set up. Lone Delphi doing a little bit more damage, also has himself the Atlas Pauldrons, 3 Atlas Pauldrons for this team, looking to cut down all of the attack speed of Old School. I just don't know if it's enough for them to survive when they actually have Gabe Vizzle on the side of Cloud9 in those team fights.
Well, you know what? They can be happy with the unison of kills that they've got on their side. Nova have got 3 kills and 1 apiece. There you go. You can't say anybody's not putting their weight in these fights. Cloud9 are going to be able to clear up this Crystal Sentry, however. So again, that last line of defense is only 1 sentry away. Cloud9, they're looking for the back door, but recalls are coming out. They actually just got cancelled, but Nova should be able to get these off in time. There's 1 turret still remaining. They're going to have to back off from the choke point in the end.
Good bit of macro from Cloud9 to draw Nova back to their side of the map. It doesn't really set up a team fight for either side, but it lets Cloud9 at least dictate the pace of the game and force Nova to be coming from their side of the map. It also stops them from being able to push up and sneak away the turret while Cloud9 will keep enemy territory. Here's the engage.
Attack of the pack comes through. There's the wait for it as well. It's only going to land on 1, but it lands on Eco. Can't use that blast tremor just yet. Fearsome Shade of blast tremor to actually silence and fear everybody from Cloud9 up. Old School still trying to just kite back as fast as he can. Gabe Vizzle lays 1 caller down and able to get Old School out of the fray for the moment. Still no one falling. There's still too much to sustain on Nova, but Eco's going extremely low. Has to back out of the fight. Those resonance bounces just way too much. Another massive fearsome shade sends everybody scattering to the 4 winds, but Lone Delphi in a 2v1 situation with Joseph, he might just be able to take him out. Ultra actually has to get the recall off here. He was down to sub 100 HP, and Lone Delphi just single-handedly turning this fight around with the double use of the fearsome shade.
That was so close for Nova. If Old School had turned and tried to help with that 2v1, he would have died. I think Lone Delphi would have cleaned up the entire team because it's so dangerous to deal with the bad mojo coming out from Lone Delphi. Now, you know, he's got a Shadow Glass, he's got a little bit of Pierce. Old School had no health. There was no way he was going to survive that. That doesn't matter if Lone Delphi isn't to carry. He still puts out plenty of damage over the course of the team fights. And that was very well played by both sides. You saw how much Old School had to kite. He put out some amazing mechanics, kiting in and out of the gauntlet. And Truth did a really good job of keeping up full stacks. It was really, really close. I thought maybe if that second Fearsome Shade had been at a slightly different angle, the C9 would have all gone down. And now we have round 2 of these full-end team fights. Pretty much everything is back up with the exception of just a pair of boots. No, it's an Echo. No, yeah, it's Lone Delphi's boots. I was like, Lone Delphi has an Echo? When did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. No, just Fearsome Shades on an extremely short cooldown. It did confuse me in the middle of the fight as well, but then I remembered. Now, they were just setting up for the dance. I was going to ask you to take my hand, but it's actually Cloud9 now forcing the hand. They are just going to lay down that gauntlet, trapping Truth and Lone Delphi. Perfect for Old School. We can kite around. The danger's going to come through. It's going to land on Joseph. There's a Fearsome Shade as well, scaring away 3 members. Blast Tremor wasn't available, and it's not going to be available anymore because Truth's already dead. Lone Delphi now getting chased away, and Vox is just just ripping through members. Old School completely untouched in the middle of that gauntlet the whole time. Finds himself a triple kill. That's Cloud9 with the ace, and they're going to end the game as well. 20 kills on the board, 11 of them going to Old School. Not only can Joseph carry, but so can the carry up in the lane. Crystal's going to fall. They tie the series up 1-1.
A well-timed minion wave allowed Cloud9 to force Nova to come meet them in the lane, and they wanted a fight in the jungle. They wanted those odd angles, those bushes to run in and out of, and in a clean, open fight, Cloud9 bring them down.
Absolutely fantastic game. Nova, they displayed a few weaknesses in the early game. Lone Zelfie didn't have the start he wanted to and got just picked off by Joseph and Gabe Bizzle time and time again. And it just all snowballed from there. Cloud9, once they get a grip on the game, it seems, Source, they do not let it go. I believe we've got some beautiful analysts over on the desk to take this one away in a moment in time. But Source, what's your final thoughts on the game?
I've got to say Cloud9 have brought themselves back, but I definitely want to hear what Munchable and the desk have